And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate y'all for tapping in with us on another thrilling edition of the Doing All Right. I'm Voch over here in the Iron Throne. Brian's on his side of the mothership. We kicking it on Fridays. Well, because I know we getting ready for the next game, getting ready for Bears. We've prepped y'all for that. But y'all do have a lot of questions. A lot of things happen throughout the week, Brian, and y'all just curious about some things. That's what me and Mr. Broaddus do. And Brian loves to answer questions. I love questions. He loves a good thought, like a thought-thumping question, just really, rack his brain. If y'all got some of them, man, y'all can put them in the comments and we'll use them next week, all right? So we don't waste good questions around here. So I pulled some. I went out to my X machine, Twitter machine, asked some stuff, and Brian, they got some good stuff up in here, man. I got about 7 or 8 of them today. Good. Yeah, I tend to like to answer those questions like at 5 in the morning. Yeah, one of those guys. When you get me going on that the X machine, as you would say. Yeah. I'm into that. Mr. Broaddus.
Yes, sir.
B. Frank says this.
Mm-hmm.
Shouts out to B. Frank.
B. Frank.
Man, you remember in the offseason, Brian, you was talking about, hey man, if Tolbert is doing well and Mingo comes back, there's no guarantee Mingo just walks right back into his job, Bryan Broaddus.
Yeah.
B. Frank says this: when Mingo is healthy, I think he's cool now, but he got 2 more weeks on IR. In 2 weeks, when Mingo comes back, does he instantly take Tolbert's job, or is there going to be a reacclimation period or something like that? I know Tolbert's been put in a lot of blocking situations. Mm-hmm. We broke it down here on the big board there. Yeah. They'll use wide receivers to block, and that's one thing that Mingo is really good at. Is it going to be a ramp-up period? Does he jump right in immediately? What's it going to look like when Mingo gets back in 2 weeks, Brian?
Yeah, I kind of feel like the Voch situation where, I want to believe that Tolbert's job is being evaluated every single week.
Yeah.
I want to believe that. I don't know if that's the case. I think where this job is going to get evaluated is with Flournoy.
Yeah.
I think Flournoy is the one. I think that there's so much front office love for Tolbert that it's really going to be really hard for them. The front office is going to push for Tolbert to continue to be a part. My hope was that all of a sudden Flournoy was going to show up as a blocker, as a special teams guy. Yeah, he showed up as a special teams guy. Block in the back, offense, that's what you don't need to hear. You don't need to hear holding, block in the back. I'd like to have believed that there was going to be that type of player, and all of a sudden it was going to be Flournoy and then Mingo stepping in. I think that Flournoy is the guy that's kind of in that mode right now of, he's going to be the guy that they probably switch out here. And it's because of the love. It's the front office love.
You would say Tolbert kind of has that seniority thing going on. Like if it's a college, you don't really want to sit your seniors for some new hot shot coming in. Quinn Ewers was a guy like that. He's just there's seniority here right now. Arch ain't playing well, but just in general, the guys that have been there for a while. And look, Tolbert is not he works hard. He comes to practice every day. He's not getting in trouble. And coaches want to reward that. Yeah, I would say.
He's a good kid. It's like it's the whole thing that we heard for years about Terrence Steele.
Yeah, he works
first in, last out, weight room guy. Going to be never a problem. Studies, sits in the front, asks questions. It's that good guy thing, and coaches love the good guy.
Yeah.
How about the good player?
Yeah.
How about the good player? I wanted to believe that they would really evaluate Tolbert. I think Tolbert is kind of a front office favorite myself.
That ain't making your team better. Tolbert's on the last year of his contract, so it might behoove the Cowboys to link to the players that's going to be here long term. But that's up to them, Bryan Broaddus. Miguel Autry says this. Miguel says he says when can we look for Revel to come back? But I'll just change it up and word it like this, Brian. When Revel does come back, because Jerry Jones went on the radio and said, "Hey man, help is coming.
Help is coming.
Help is coming."
Shotty's saying the same thing too. Yeah,
from the way of in-house. Yeah. So they're clearly talking about Josh Butler. They're clearly talking about Revel. I want to word it like this, Brian. With the scheme things that are going on, doesn't matter if new corners are coming back, if Revel and all these guys are coming. Like, does it really matter if we're going to be playing defense like that?
Man, I think the point you made at the end is really the one that sticks with me. It's because I wanted to believe again. Now, I think with Revel, I think we are getting closer with him. And then Stephen Jones has talked about this. And you mentioned Jerry and Stephen on 105.3 The Fan have talked about, like, okay, there's going to be this period where he's going to have to they're going to activate him, and then he's going to have to practice, and then there's going to be the ramp-up period. I think it's going to be very similar to the same type of ramp-up period that they use to get Diggs ready. But Revel is making some really significant strides. But the point you make about the scheme, if they go to a scheme or if they start to play more man coverage, this is where Revel will stand out.
It's a big help right there.
This is the guy that is long, he's rangy, he's fast. You talk about put somebody up, press, jam, run with. This guy was doing those things at East Carolina. If he doesn't get hurt, the Dallas Cowboys don't see him. Yeah. He's going somewhere else. He's going to be picked high and and probably not be with the team. But his injury was what it was. This team, I feel like, though, is looking at a situation of like, okay, let's get him ready. Let's see what happens. But there's going to be that ramp-up period of probably a couple weeks before we see him actually active.
What am I missing with Josh Butler, Brian? It seems like the Cowboys are way more excited to get him back than I am.
Yeah.
I know he played a lot in that down season and apparently did some good things there, but I still never looked at Josh Butler as like a one-man game changer. Like, oh boy, Josh Butler coming back. And no disrespect to Josh Butler.
Yeah.
I just don't see him in the same way of Diggs coming back being healthy or Bland coming back being healthy, Brian. Or what am I missing with Josh Butler? Right?
I think the thing with Josh Butler, and I'm with you a little bit on this too, but I think that Josh Butler wasn't messing things up like the other corners that were trying to play during that time with the Booths and the guys like that. Carson, man, we haven't heard about Carson.
What's going on with him?
That is this is yesterday. You and I had this discussion about Mazi Smith. We had this discussion about Blue. Now we're going to have this discussion about Carson. We're going to, it's kind of like, things aren't great at corner right now, because I think a lot of it has to do with some of the scheme. And scheme of how much you're willing to not play man coverage right now. I think that's a problem. But we have not talked about Carson that much. And, and I think that, with Butler, it's a little bit different story because Butler flashed.
Yeah.
Butler flashed some things. So you're thinking, okay, wow, this guy flashed some. He got hurt. Man, what a shame. I think they're just talking about more of a depth piece here, where Carson should be pushed for being a starter.
Right, that should be his.
That should be. He should be the starter. If all things, maybe you don't even get Elam here. It's Bland, it's Diggs, it's Carson, it's. But we haven't seen that. We just had Kelvin Joseph. You had to throw that Kelvin Joseph.
It'll be great if your corners that you draft and put equity into, if they played well, boy, it'd be fantastic.
Right.
But they're not playing that well.
Yeah.
Voch says this, Brian. We on corners real fast. In terms of roster, you always talk about who's the last guy on the roster, 53rd guy on the roster, right? Where is Caelen Carson at? Is he in the 50s? He in the 40s maybe, Brian? Because the Cowboys are constantly going to be adding guys. They're going to be adding players, and players are going to be coming back from these injured lists. I would imagine Moffa's a guy that's going to come back to this thing soon. Mingo. Would you say that Carson may be around the 53rd guy range, Brian?
Yeah, I think
is he a cut candidate type.
Oh, I think there's other. I think if you look at it overall, when you always think about who are the rookie guys, who are the rookies that maybe, but I think a lot of their rookie guys they want to be able to hang on to. So Carson to me, guys like that, I wonder personally, if Mazi Smith is that guy now. I wonder has Mazi Smith taken it to the point where if all things just play out the way it is, we might not see Mazi Smith this year. Now, we'll see. There might be some injuries. Let's hope that doesn't happen. Yeah. But I really, really, really wonder where Mazi Smith's I wonder where his spot is on this football team right now. Obviously, he's staying on, but, man, I don't feel like he is any closer to playing one of these games or being active in one of these games.
I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't see Mazi Smith the rest of the season.
I wouldn't either.
I wouldn't be surprised. And let's just say, I'm going to knock on wood, this very expensive table that you paid for that came from London or something like that.
Yeah, it did come from London, yeah.
It came from London. Just going to knock on this table here. I think if anything were to happen at D tackle, I think they'll look at Winfrey first.
Yeah, I do too.
I think they'll look to move him up first.
Right, yeah.
So if that's going to be the case, Bryan Broaddus, Mazi might be first guy out.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Let me see. Oh, AC says,
AC.
Man, doing all right podcast. He said it just like that. Doing all right podcast.
Yeah.
Do you think it's a good idea to bail on your defensive scheme 2 weeks into the season? I'll just word it like this. We want to see changes on defense, right?
Mm-hmm.
If we decide or just we're advocating for change on defense, what's better? That this defense have a rocky start, figure it out later, and maybe it lives in the idea of what Flus wants it to be because they've put 10 weeks of work into it. They may have lost some games on the way, but they put 10 weeks of work into it, and by the end of the season, it's what you want it to be. Or do you go for, hey, we need to do what we need to do to win now, but maybe we don't pick up on Flus's scheme all that fast. Like maybe it takes us next year to get Flus's defense down. Brian, what you think?
Yeah, we had a couple of different members of the Chicago media that were covering the Bears, and they were trying to tell us about, Flus needs his guys. Flus needs this. Flus needs that. And they were being very complimentary of
his
Flus.
Guys like players that
fit what he wants to do.
Understood.
But this is where, and I remind everybody of this, and I saw it with my own eyes.
Tell that story about Zimmer and Parcells.
That's what I'm saying. I saw it with my own eyes. I sat there in a meeting and I watched Bill Parcells tell Mike Zimmer, you're going to coach that 4-3 for one more year, and then we're going to coach the 3-4. And if you want to coach the 3-4, you got to learn the 3-4. What did Mike Zimmer do? He had a top 10 defense with the 4-3. He turned around and had a top 10 defense with the 3-4. It's not about bailing on Flus's schemes. It's about playing to the strengths of the players you currently have. You cannot be this rigid through 2 weeks. Now, week 1, zone scheme, great against Hurts.
Sure.
Next week, Giants kind of figure out, all of a sudden it's like you're going to play zone, you're going to play 2 deep, you're going to put a guy in there that doesn't cover well in 2 deep. We're going to run vertical routes. We're going to attack it. He made some adjustments. They got a little bit better in overtime and were able to get some stops. They got pressure. They got their stuff. You have to be able to adapt to how the game is going, but you also have to have a willingness to go into a game with some ideas that, hey, if we have to play single high, or we have to play split safety, or we have to play zero coverage, blitz every snap, you have to have a willingness to be able to go do that. You can't sit there and just sit in something all day and expect, okay, well, in a way, Flus and them got fortunate that Sam Williams actually made a play. If he doesn't make the play, that ball, Voch, you saw the tape, that ball is probably to the sidelines. And here again, it's another problem. It's a big play. It's another chunk play. Coaches have to be able to have a willingness to adapt week to week. Week to week, you have to be able to do that. And it's not abandoning a scheme. It's just being able to morph into different types of defenses as you play. Bill Belichick made a living out of doing this, morphing into different, and sometimes Belichick would morph into a different defense series to series. Yeah. You have to be willing to change things up in order. Steve Spagnuolo with Kansas City, having a little bit of a rough go at it right now, but those Super Bowl teams at Kansas City defensively morphing into different schemes, not abandoning the base scheme of what he is, but being willing to adjust as you go along in the game.
I think part of the problem that we have with Flus right now is that there's evidence that Flus's scheme works.
Yeah.
Everywhere that Flus is gone, that he's called plays for, the defense is always great. And he'll take guys that you never heard of and make great units out of those guys, right? But it's just now that we're here, man, you got peanut butter, but you ain't got the jelly. You got one thing, but you don't have the other. There's nothing wrong with Flus's scheme, I would say.
Right.
But it can't be 48 of 49 plays doing the same thing.
Right. I agree.
You know what I'm saying? So you can continue to teach the scheme, and look, that's what practice is for. You can continue to work on some things, but man, when you're playing Caelen Williams, blitz the guy. When you're playing Jalen Hurts, because we're going to see him again,
right,
blitz that guy.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson, veteran, maybe a little better versus the blitz. Yeah. But throw some man in there to kind of throw him off a little bit. You know, I'm just a dude with a camera and a microphone. I work for Crown Global Media. I don't make millions of dollars to go coaching the league, Brian. But just even I know that versatility matters. Please,
the adjustments thing. Is that your biggest? If you had to have your biggest flaw or your biggest fault, of what currently has happened through 2 weeks with the defense.
You can't do something 48 of 49 times. That's my biggest problem. Because look, Brian, Flus's defense, like just talk about the Eagles real fast, right? The run defense ain't terrible. Saquon's gonna do Saquon things, right? But if you hold him under 80 yards, that's a hell of a day.
That's a win.
But in that process, you can't let Jalen Hurts run everywhere.
Right.
And maybe it's a small fix you can do. Quarterback spy. It could be any one of those guys that can run around with Hurts. And that makes the defense that much better. And look, you may lose something spying Hurts, but you got to make the attempt. As far as the Giants go, I think Tyrone Tracy is a pretty decent back.
Right.
Scatterbo ain't good, but whatever. He can do his thing or whatever. That rushing, though, they didn't really rack up rushing yards on you like that. But you can't let Russell Wilson damn near throw for 500 against you.
Right.
Hey, you got to make one small adjustment in your passing game. And that could be, you do cover 3 and cover 4 all day.
Yeah.
How about this one play? You make your cover 1 look like cover 3.
Right.
And you go in man instead of zone. Just to throw something at it. Right. So the scheme itself is working for you.
Right.
But you need to make small adjustments to where you're not just getting your ass whooped real bad at this one thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's my biggest thing about Flus.
Yep.
Meanwhile, Joe Kissinger said, he said, with the signing of Clowney, which defensive end or combo of ends do you steal reps from? So how do they reallocate the reps for the pass rushers, Brian? We thought I was nervous that they would cut James Houston or something like that. They didn't do it. I'm still nervous that James Houston might lose reps. I still don't want that to happen. They're already in my mind, Brian, pardon me, James Houston played 14 snaps. Right. I think Sam played like 40. Right. They should be a little closer. You know what I mean? Sure. I think everybody else kind of played 20. Fowler was in the 20s. Marshawn Neal was in the 20s or something like that. So if it's me, I'm taking 19 snaps away from Sam Williams, and part of that is a long overtime, situation, right? So that's where like some of those reps come from. I'm taking 19 of those reps from Sam. I'm giving maybe like 5 more to James Houston to get him in the 20s or something like that, and then I'll figure out what we're gonna do with Clowney or something like that. But Dante Fowler could maybe use a little less reps, something like that. But that's just where I'm at. I don't want to lose James Houston, to add Clowney. I want to add him and Clowney to the party and Nealon to the party. And maybe we use less of Dante or Donovan Ezaraku and just use him in pass rush.
I was talking to somebody in the front office about this yesterday.
What'd they say?
I talked about this and I asked the question, like, what's the problem with James Houston getting more reps?
That's a great question, Bryan Broaddus.
And the answer that I got is, we'd like to see more reps. We'd like to see more opportunities. Then my next question was, is this a coaching decision? And it's like, I'm just telling you, we'd like to see more reps here. So is this, again, a disconnect between the front office and the coaching staff? As a front office guy or gal, you don't want to overstep your boundaries.
Sure.
You don't want to go in there. Now, the general manager can go in there.
You've been saying it all week. Can I help you with something?
Can I help you?
Yeah, sure.
If I'm Will McClay, I walk in and I said, listen, I helped you with Clark.
Yeah.
I helped you with Clowney. What else can I help you with? Okay, and they start to say, well, we need to figure out. Then my next question would be, okay, what is it going to take to get more of James Houston on the field?
Sure.
Well, we don't want to play James because he's not picking it up as fast, and we're not doing this.
That'll be a lie.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. The answers that you get, from your coaching staff is sometimes it's like, oh, I'm figuring this out now. I'm figuring out what we're doing here. So to me, I'm in that mode of, after hearing that the front office would like more James Houston if they could possibly get that. So we'll see. We'll see if it plays. But the Sam Williams thing, the Fowler thing, let's be honest, Donovan Ezaraku.
Sure.
Let's be honest about that. this edge group has not, through 2 weeks, not lived up to hype like myself. I admit this. I thought that this edge group was going to be able to cover for not having Micah Parsons.
Yeah.
Was it going to be 14, 15 sacks? No, but I was thinking it was going to be a deal where all of a sudden you're getting guys with 2, 3, 4, 5 sacks. It still might happen.
Yeah.
What troubled me last week the most, Voch, is that you and I talked about the Giants' offensive line.
Yep.
And they still weren't able to put pressure on that group. Yeah. This Bears offensive line, yes, it's better. It still has issues at the tackle spots. If Dallas doesn't find a way against these guys, now where are you at? I think you need to think about more Sam Houston, or more Sam Houston. Yeah, more James Houston. More James Houston. Yeah, I'll put Sam Houston together.
All these guys.
Yeah.
Every time James gets in the game, he makes a huge impact.
Yeah.
And in the 14 plays last week, Brian, he got a sack, 2 pressures, a damn run stuff, tackle for loss, Brian. And I'm like, man, like what? Can it be that much of a? Like, is it a White Cotton thing? Is it a Flus thing? Because I don't want to just keep piling this up on Flus. I would imagine this has to do with White Cotton and his rotation.
Yeah,
right?
I think there's a lot of this with Coach White Cotton is there's a lot of respect from the front office about him.
Yeah,
there's a lot of. There's a lot of latitude.
Let him do whatever he wants. Yeah,
White Cotton. I'll tell you what, that White Cotton guy. What a heck of a coach he is, man. I'll tell you what, front office tends to they fall in love with their coaches, and they're like, wow, this guy, and then you give him the latitude. You give him a lot of that latitude to be able to say, well, whatever he says, we're going to do. Yeah, it's black coach, and so. It might be a little of that.
Why do you think Sam played 40 reps on defense last week? 40 snaps. Why do you think the gap is so wide? Sam playing 40 and James Houston playing 14. Why do you think the difference is so vast?
I wonder if they're in a situation where they.
And then also, Brian, you can't make the argument that, oh well, in passing situations is when we want James Houston, because James is a better pass rusher than run defender technically.
Right.
But damn, Russ threw the ball all day, and even in overtime, those are passing situations, right? Where was James Houston? I don't think James played very much in the second half, Brian. Why the gap?
I wish I had a great answer, and I really don't. And maybe it's because that they feel like maybe their trust in James Houston, or excuse me, in Sam Williams, was justified by that final pass that Russell Wilson threw in that game. That he might play 40 plays, but look what he did on that final play. Did you see that? Did you see what Sam did?
Yeah.
I mean, we kind of put blinders on the first 39 plays, but that final play, it's like, that's it. That's my guy, Sam Williams. There could be, once again, the general manager has a spot in his heart for guys like Tolbert and guys like Sam Williams, who were drafted right behind each other, 1-2 when they were drafted. Second, third round picks. Maybe the front office is looking at a situation like, man, Flus, Sam Williams. This could be that maybe I don't know if this is Coach White Cotton on this particular. I think this might be a front office thing that they talk about in the meeting what Sam Williams can potentially do, and right now that's the way that they're going.
Brian, I got a really good question from James Mitchell.
Okay.
Shouts out to James.
James Mitchell.
On Twitter there.
Shouts out.
He says, in training camp.
Yeah.
Brian, me and the Cowboys roster building exercises, right? We made this big fuss about redundancies.
We did.
And limiting redundancies or having too many of the same types of players on your roster.
Yeah.
James makes an argument that wouldn't this Turpin injury situation be a reason why maybe sometimes we should advocate for the same type of player? Because if you lose Turpin, you don't have another type of Turpin player.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
A lot of people would feel like Jadon Blue is that kind of guy.
Sure.
And if Jadon Blue is not available for you,
right,
Turpin's not going to miss time. He was good to go in practice yesterday. But in the event that he does miss time, and Jadon Blue is not available to you, with the lack of redundancies, now you don't have that type of player. Line him up at running back, line him up at wide receiver, super bursty, explosive down the field guys, right? Would you change how we look at roster building and redundancies based on this Turpin situation? If we lose Turpin or something like that, we haven't, but if we lost him, would that make you think differently about having multiple types of players on your team when you're roster building?
I think to me, that would only make sense if it's your quarterback.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't feel like
Cooper Rush backing up Baltimore Jackson.
It's a bad. It seems like Cooper Rush will go win you football games, no question.
But not like the
Ravens. The Ravens would have to completely switch their offense in order for Cooper Rush to probably have, and the Ravens are a team they're more than willing to do things. They're more than willing to adjust. That's why they've had the success that they've had. But also look at this though. The Ravens have also told us though they've tried to go out and get quarterbacks that do have similar types of the Tyrod Taylors, and they've tried. Sure. They've tried to go get these quarterbacks, and when it hasn't always worked out. Hundley, I think it's always been a situation like that. I think at the quarterback, I think to me that is important because I don't want my offense to miss a beat.
Yeah.
But I also know this. I felt like that Blue was going to be that guy for Turpin.
Yeah.
I really did. Where I missed out here is maybe the work ethic a little bit.
Sure.
Maybe the preparation. Yeah. Maybe being the pro.
The mental process.
The mental processing, taking it from the classroom. That was my hope.
Yeah.
That was my hope. You know, I mean, I can't sit there and say, okay, like at every position I have to have that kind of guy. But in a way, I thought
you can have is a player that can fill that role.
Exactly.
Because Blue and Turpin are different, but Blue can do Turpin things.
Yes.
Fair enough.
Absolutely. So to me, I'm kind of in a situation where I can't sit there and say at every position I'm going to have the same guy. I think at quarterback you want to try.
Yeah.
You know, I think you want to try to be that way. But my thought going into the season was, well, Blue can do some of the things that Turpin can do, and Turpin could do some of the things that Blue can do. That was my redundancy right there.
Sure.
But what I didn't know was that it was going to be a struggle.
That Blue wasn't going to be available.
That Blue wasn't going to be available for me.
Yeah.
That's the struggle.
Also, too, I think when you have a limited amount of roster spots, you're not going to just go sign Mecole Hardman just because he plays like Turpin and just have him on the roster.
Right.
I think, you might have an argument like, if you think about your best players, right? Like if you have and we just talking about camp where, what we were talking about in camp or whatever, right? If you have a Micah Parsons, Donovan Ezraku can do some of those things as well.
Right.
Like maybe that's where that kind of applies for the most part, but Turpin's not a top of the 10 roster type guys.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't see a reason to have to do that. You know what I mean? It's a great argument. Like, hey man, because if you lose Turpin, you lose a lot of explosion.
Right.
But on that same token, man, Blue got to step up and be ready.
Right.
Blue.
There's a couple of guys that you drafted, like Donovan Ezraku getting picked while you currently have Micah Parsons.
Yeah.
And you also, what did you do? You drafted Nealon to replace Tank
Lawrence.
You really that hasn't.
That's the thing, yeah.
That hasn't taken over yet. Like I thought it was going to.
Sure.
And now you draft Donovan Ezraku to kind of be that backup to Micah Parsons if you had to. Haven't seen that yet. So there's been 2 spots where they've drafted guys to be the redundancy player or attempt to be the redundancy player, whether it's Ezraku and Blue, that haven't worked out that well for them so far through 2 weeks of the season.
That is fantastic dialogue, Mr. Broaddus.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you.
Answer some of those questions. I appreciate y'all for asking questions, and we love a good back and forth.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I mean, we're not going to answer the Voch, should Jerry Jones fire himself?
Yeah.
We're not going to answer those. I mean,
that'll be another day.
Appreciate when Jerry fires himself. We'll
probably
come
not.
in
Probably
and
not.
talk about that all day, every day. But when it's some challenging questions, though, those are the ones we love the most, and we appreciate y'all. If you have any more questions, anything that's similar that we didn't answer today, put in the comments, and I'll look at them, save them, and we'll do it next week. We're going to do this every single Friday. Reach out to y'all and tap back in with you, and we're going to do that Q&A thing, assuming that we don't have a Thursday game, but we should be on deck because we got Sundays coming up. So appreciate y'all for watching right now. Do all the algorithm things. We appreciate you, and follow all of us on our socials at Crown Global Media. That's Bryan Broaddus. I'm VOCHLOMBARDI, and we will catch y'all next week after this Cowboy W against the Bears. All right, see y'all Monday. Peace.